Our guest is a award-winning screenwriter. He's written 7 screenplays. He's got 3 published novels, a stage play. He's consulted on films. He hosts the PodCandy, as I mentioned earlier, a platform dedicated to uncovering the dark truths behind crimes, cults, and killers, not for sensationalism, but for awareness, education, and prevention. He is an internationally known forensic psychologist and expert on violent behavior and crime prevention. Graduated from Northwestern University Medical School with 35 years of experience consulting to law enforcement agencies, corporations, and institutions, from threat assessment prevention, from a psychological, sociological, environmental, staff awareness, all those types of areas. He's as I mentioned earlier, he's an award-winning author, trainer, lecturer. Interesting. He was honored by Cambridge as over in England as one of the top 2,000 scientists of the 20th century for his work on substance abuse in teens and families. So wow. We're happy to welcome Dr. John Mayer on the show today, talking about his work and the documentary effect. This guy has a wonderful background. I'm sure it's going to be a fun episode today. So welcome to the show, John.
Well, thank you for having me, gentlemen. I'm looking forward to this. Especially you can do some day drinking. It's unusual for me.
And we're
that's why we do it on a Friday.
Yes.
There you go. Good idea.
And we're in Central Time, so we're even beating Jonathan to the punch here. So
that's right.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, welcome to the show.
Well,
so, Dr. John, what's a reason people might want to stick around before we get rolling here?
Well, I think what people are drawn to me and my work and our podcast, PodCandy, is that as opposed to a lot of experts, I don't mince words. I get right to the point. I'm a kid that grew up in the inner city of Chicago, immigrant parents, and street smart and called, and I'll just tell it like it is. I don't give a lot of psychobabble. I distill things down to basic concepts, and and that's what people appreciate. I talk the language of people, not to talk the language of doctors. So
yeah, we need more of that in the world. That's for sure. That is for sure. Yeah. Cool. Very cool. So you brought a beverage on today, and you're you said earlier on the pre-show chat that you're a little bit of a maverick, so you didn't bring a beer.
Exactly. I purposely didn't bring a beer.
Sometimes we'll do whiskey.
Trick.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Cognac. Oh.
So this is Celt Cognac. And I was telling Sean in the pre-interview that the cool thing about it is that it's aged in a sailing ship that goes around the world to age it. And of course, like a lot of dark beverages, depending on how long they age it, is how more expensive it is. So mine right now, this is a 10 years spent in a sailing ship going around the world to age it. So,
and you broke that out for our show today. Wow.
I sure did.
We're on it.
Sure did.
Appreciate that. Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Imagine that in a cask or barrel or whatever they put cognac in, and sloshing in the seas, humidity, heat, like it's got to do something to it, I guess, right?
Yeah. I just hope the sailors don't use it as a toilet every once in a while or something.
Yeah, they're probably trying to get into it every once in a while.
How long?
Right.
How long of a trip did that make? On
this one's 10 years. This one is a 10-year, and I don't know how long they go up. Sean is right. I did open this one up for you guys. I've had it in my
cool.
wine shelf for a long time.
That's awesome. Yeah. We're honored. Thank you.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think I've ever had a cognac. I just never, there's so many out there. It's like I just haven't. Yeah. It's just not one of the varieties I've gotten to. So,
well, I hope
now I'm intrigued.
I hope I can inspire to give you a try.
I know. Now I'm intrigued, and may have to run out. So
just step up our palate a little bit. We do bourbons every now and then on the show, so we step out a little. We've had some Scotch, whiskeys, and but yeah, that's one area we haven't touched on. So
yeah, we'll have to put that on deck. All right. So Jonathan, what do you have?
I have already, like you said, Sean, I stole a sip before the show.
I caught you. I saw that.
I have a bourbon barrel mango wheat.
Interesting.
I have not had this one. This is new from Lexington Brewing Company. Kentucky Bourbon Barrel Mango Wheat delivers a refreshing fusion of ripe tropical fruit with fresh bourbon and a smooth wheat character. Aged 100% in fresh bourbon barrels. It is 8%, I believe. Yeah, 8% ABV. And it smells amazing. So, and I can already tell you, it tastes amazing too. This may get a 5. I don't know. I gotta give it another sip here.
Cool. Well, I've got from 903 Brewers, I've got the Sasquatch. This is a 10-year anniversary edition for them. This is a chocolate milk stout. So, one of our go-tos. But yeah, this one's
absolutely
903 Brewers Sasquatch.
I love the can art there.
Yeah. I guess because it's a dark brew, right? So it kind of matches the look. But he's got a crown on that says 10. It's also 10% ABV. So
wow, okay,
for their 10-year anniversary.
I may be between the both of you with the cognac and of course I got an 8%.
You got 8%. You're right there with us. So
no telling where this conversation will go.
No telling. So we'll have to figure out who the adult in the room is at some point, but not right now. All right, well, let's cheers it up to a great episode, to psychology and all the other things we'll talk about.
Cheers.
All right, Dr. John, what we do is we give this a rating of 1 to 5 pints, 5 being the best. You can use decimal points, whatever. So what do you give the, was it Celt? What was the name of it?
Celt Cognac. Oh, definitely a 5 out of 5.
There you go. 5 out of 5. I've not had a 5 in a while. Good.
It's a rare air.
Yeah, rare air.
Rare air around here.
We're stingy with 5, so but we'll see. Will there be 2 on the show today? Jonathan, you're up.
I thought I was going to give this a 5, but after taking a couple of more sips, I'm going to give this a generous 4.7. 4.7.
Okay,
so
that was a big. That was a sizable drop from sip to swallow.
I think it was just the initial the
aroma.
The aroma, and then that initial taste that I jumped ahead, and I thought, man, this is going to be amazing. But it still is great. But I can't give it a full 5 today. So
those are tough to come by. So, I'm going to give mine pretty close. I'm going to give mine. I'll be right there with you, Jonathan. I'll give it a 4.75.
Mm-hmm.
It's exactly what you would expect a nice chocolate milk stout to taste like.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just not like above and beyond. So that's why I give it there. I could probably be convinced to go to 4.9, but we'll just.
Those are all solid ratings.
Yeah, good flight on the show today.
Well, John, thank you for joining us. Before we jump into the topic, I'm sure we're both interested to learn more about your background. So why don't you give us a little background of yourself? And I read your bio at the beginning. You've got quite the history there. So give us a little snapshot.
Well, thanks. I wasn't prepared for this, so this is going to be off the top of my head. So, well, as I said earlier, one of the things I'm noted for is giving straight answers and being kind of a straight shooter. And I was fortunate to go to ivory tower schools. I was an athlete all my life, and athletics paid a lot of my schooling.
What'd you play?
I played football. I was
nice.
A tight end. You can't tell by my headshot here, but 6'3" and about 190. I was about 220 when I played. An incredibly slow tight end, but I had.
Well, you played in the Big Ten, right?
Yeah, but I never played it down. Never played it down.
Okay.
But it helped pay for my education, and
absolutely. That's amazing. That's awesome.
So, but as I said, I grew up in the inner city, actually the area of Chicago that's called Chirac. Spike Lee called it Chirac. It's a pretty dangerous area.
Yeah.
And I come from that background, and I always had to, when you're growing up and you were, shall I say, a different race than the majority of the people in that inner city ghetto area, you always had to have your eye on what the other guy was about, and just kind of looking around and being able to figure out, is this safe to walk on this side of the street, or etc. So I always took that into my situations in school and in my work, and it's been very rewarding. And I because of that, I worked with criminal kids all my career, and even early on when I was in med school, I ran a program for very violent kids that killed people. I mean, incredible stories of things that young people get involved in, and became nationally known. And then I went to, as you said, went to Northwestern, and I, you're taught at schools like that the way to success is you got to publish scientific articles and write books, et cetera, et cetera. So I stopped writing scientific articles. I think I have 65 published scientific articles and 20 professional books, nonfiction books. And I turned around in about 2015 and I go, who the hell is reading all this stuff? Other doctors, Yeah, I'm not reaching the public with messages of how to, be safe and keep away from crime, and what happens if you're a victim of crime, etc. So I started then to turn to popular press writing, as you said. I now have 4 novels, by the way, a little bit of an old bio.
Okay.
And about 13 screenplays, and to me, that's a way in which I'm getting messages to the public as to how to deal with crime and violence, domestic violence, abuse, etc. So I'm pretty excited about that end of the career. And then I was asked to do this podcast, which has really taken off. We're now in 58 countries, and we have 29 episodes. And what we do is, and this is so appropriate for our topic today, we take a popular documentary on crime, cults, killers, and we analyze it. We have 2 delightful co-hosts who are from the entertainment industry, and they're just fans of crime genre. And then they talk it up a little bit about what this crime is about in the documentary, and then they bring me in as the expert. And it's really cool. I really enjoy it because I get to give some good, deep, and very honest and straightforward psychological insight into why this happens.
Yeah.
And one of the things, again, pertaining to our topic here, one of the things that I'm finding after now doing 29 of these is that so many of these documentaries don't get into what we talk about, which is, and hopefully we'll talk about here today, is, how does this happen? Why does this develop this way?
Yeah.
They usually just kind of sensationalize, which is fine. So many of them are so well made. And they sensationalize the crime or tell you a little bit about what happened and etc. But none of them get really in depth as to, how does this occur? Could this be my neighbor across the street?
Yeah,
etc.
Have any of your screenplays? I'm curious. You've written how many? 7 screenplays?
13 screenplays now.
Oh wow, 13. Yeah. Okay. Have any of those turned into movies that we're familiar with? Or?
2, nothing that you'd be familiar with yet. I got a couple of good ones coming up. In fact, if I can say, Nicolas Cage has got one of my screenplays, and I was thinking of doing the lead in it. And we're, fingers crossed. I guess I can't talk much more else about that, but we don't have a contract yet. But
sure.
And then two other ones are in the pipeline. They'll be coming out. So have me back. We'll talk about those.
Oh, I'd love to.
Yeah,
that'd
be cool. Well, I want to ask a question. I want to ask a question real quick, Jonathan, before I forget.
Yeah.
So you made your way out of the projects. I'm curious, what do you think made the difference for you that you got out and you just, was it the parenting? Was it, I mean, I don't know if how your parents were involved or not involved. I mean, but like, how did you, I always think it's fascinating when you hear that kind of story because the odds are stacked against you.
Yeah.
Right.
So how did you, what do you think made the difference to get you out of that situation? Was it just sports or was it something else?
It's a great question because again, I'm a treating psychologist as well, and I treat people around the country and around the world, and so many times they've been in horrific situations and they can't make it out. They don't make it out. And you said a key, and my parents were solid, good people. They weren't superstars. My mom was almost completely deaf, so she never could work, and my dad was a factory worker. A simple means, I guess you'd call it lower middle class, and where we lived is what they could afford. I had 2 brothers, and so it's 3 boys growing up, and a dad and a factory worker. You can imagine that. I don't know how much he made, in his years, but it was my parents were solid people and very solid people, and I didn't suffer any abuse, in the home. It was more outside. It wasn't that many days where I wasn't hassled or beat up or one of my favorite stories, or shouldn't say favorite. So I'd have my football gear in a sack going to school, and in the morning, and the gang guys would take my football gear and throw it in a tree, or throw it up, get a loss, and then I had to face the football coach after school and say, "Well, where's your stuff, man? Mayor, where's your stuff?" What is up? Oh, I was saying, well, that's your responsibility, Saying, well, thanks,
Yeah.
You know where I live? Do you know where I live?
Yeah.
So, and again, get back to your question, Sean. I just didn't want to live like this in my life. So, and again, I'm not a speed demon, so I knew I wasn't going to make it as a professional football player. So football, sports, I played basketball as well. They were a tool.
Yeah.
School was a tool, and I tell
it
that
helps
to young
you get
people.
out of there. Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it helps you. I mean, I'm sure that your parents, they were hardworking people, but I mean, did you get a good scholarship? I mean, was that
a lot
of your education paid for? Yeah. So
I got a scholarship to play football from the time I was in middle school to college. So I went to a Catholic all boys high school in Chicago. It was known for sports, and that paid for probably 3/4 to 80% of my schooling, and then same with the middle school. It was a Catholic middle school that they valued sports. Otherwise, I couldn't afford it. I mean, I can remember telling my parents that I was going to this Catholic school for high school, and my dad looked at me and says, "Well, we can't afford that." I said, "Dad, it's covered. It's covered."
Yeah.
And so that's where it came from, and that's what brought me to psychology as well. Is that I was always the captain of the team, and a leader, and guys would come to me. I wasn't looking for it, but guys would come to me. Hey, I got this girl, and she's giving me some problems. Saying, what do I do? Or my parents are jerks, et cetera, et cetera. And so it kind of came natural to me. But I did enter medical school. I always thought the brain was what was really the control of everything. And so I was hell bent on being a neurosurgeon. But and I'll tell you, and I hate to offend the neurosurgeons out there, but I got into the curriculum, and being a neurosurgeon, it's almost like a car mechanic. You open up somebody's head, you tinker around for 7 hours, put it back, and next, and I needed the interaction. I needed to change people's lives. And this wasn't doing. Hey, this is a pretty good prop, actually.
That's true.
I mean, that's not very fulfilling.
That's mechanics, but it's not the why it works, right? It's the
exactly. So I switched to and this is another little interesting tidbit if you want to go here, is that, I switched to psychology, and Northwestern had a joint program at the time. So it was psychiatry and psychology. And so I went to the dean. Now, remember how long I've been in this field. This is well before mental health and therapy has exploded in our world. I went to the dean to switch my curriculum and my major area, and he looks at me. He was an old grizzled guy, and he goes, "Well, what do you want to do? Drive a cab?" And so I convinced him to sign it anyway, but the rest is history. So.
Wow.
Yeah, that's your only option, right? Is drive a cab.
Yeah, if you were a psychologist or a psychiatrist in that day.
Yeah. Well, seems like you figured it out along the way, so that's good.
Yeah.
So I wrote a question down here, and we can kind of use this to jump off and kind of go in a couple different directions, probably. Both with your background as a psychologist and then also the stuff you do for writing, your podcast, the question that popped up for me was like, why is crime so popular to watch, to read, to listen to, both true crime? Then you got the whole, there's so many crime dramas on network TV. You got NCIS and FBI, and they launch a new one every season, some other, letter agency or whatever, but they're all the same formula. There's some type of, crime going on,
right?
Usually violent. And we're just as a country, just fascinated by it. And at the same time, repelled by it. Now, I guess that's what really makes it interesting, is that we're also completely repelled by it, but drawn to it.
I think so I'm drawn to Forensic Files, and that show's 20 years. That show stopped airing 10 years ago, but they still run it. And I don't know why, but I'm captivated by it. Even I've seen several episodes the same thing, because they just constantly rerun episodes. But I think it's just from a curiosity and an investigative, your mind is curious, is how they're going to determine, how this person did it, or who this person, from my standpoint, it's an intriguing standpoint, as I look and see, and I'm always just drawn in, just because I want to know how they figured out who did this.
Yeah.
And I think it's a curiosity standpoint. I think it's people are just drawn in from simply curiosity, is who did it.
It's so many elements. These shows have so many elements that appeal to such a wide audience, because it's not just people that are looking for excitement or a thrill in their life.
Right.
It's not just people that are looking for, well, I'm better than that. My life is much more put together than this person. And it also appeals to people that have high intelligence and like a puzzle, just like you, Jonathan.
Yeah. We like close.
Can I say that, Sean, about him? Has he got high intelligence?
We could say it.
You can say it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You can say it all you want, but
it's free country. We can say it.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me of that.
But it's a closed loop. We talk about in psychology, our minds to close loops. And whenever you throw something out there, and I think about specifically in Forensic Files, when they throw something out there, it's automatically your mind is trying to close loops on how they figured out or who did it, and how they came to that conclusion. So your mind's already trying to figure out, how they would go about solving this. And I think it is, like you said, it's like a puzzle. Your mind wants to figure it out.
Exactly. And so overridingly, our society is one that craves stimulation. I sometimes call it a fast food society. I want to be fed rather with some sensationalism, some excitement, etc. But also this whole concept of the puzzle and figuring it out. And see, that's what I've discovered watching these documentaries now. And by the way, before doing the PodCandy podcast, not something I watch, because in my entertainment time, I deal with crime and bad people all the time. I'm not looking for entertainment to watch a crime show, quite frankly.
Right.
But so this is new to me as well, as they brought me in to analyze these documentaries and etc. But and you know what I find is that they do exactly what you're saying, Jonathan. They'll be good about presenting the puzzle and the solution crime. But again, what we get at, and I'm really proud of, is that what's behind it. Why did this, and excuse me for being chauvinistic here, why did this guy, do this? Why did this criminal develop this way? Because I always felt that was the most interesting thing of these things, is that,
how it originated.
Yeah. Why did John Wayne Gacy, who seemed like a neighborhood suburban kind of guy, have X number of kids buried in his basement? How does that develop? And
how does it develop so unnoticed, and there's so many? And I guess that is what makes it fascinating. There's so many elements and directions and angles to look at this from, that, like you said, appeals to not only different parts of your brain, different types of people, all that kind of stuff. It's just,
and each one of them are different. Each one of these killers and cult leaders
and how they hone their skills. Like I was reading, like Charles Manson, when he was in jail early on, he read How to Win Friends and Influence People by, like a classic, which you would typically not associate with a criminal, or somebody, of that degree, but he's in prison learning how to, manipulate people. So, when he gets out,
I'll tell you, Jonathan, one of the surprises that people have about these cult leaders, killers, etc. They get these followers, and I don't know about you both, but I look at them. I look at some of these people and go, "Who the hell would follow that creepy, weird guy?" And it happens all the time. We've had some episodes where it's been just incredible. You look at these people that are cult leaders, and you go, how does anybody follow? And people have given them their life fortunes. Women have given their bodies, and you go, what's this about?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
But we're seeing, a screen when we see it for the most part, right? Or a book or something like that. There's definitely a difference. Like when you're with somebody, all these people have to be somewhat charismatic.
Yes.
And I think when you're in
right there.
I've heard this said about presidents where, whichever side of the aisle you're on, like there's something about most presidents that if you're in the room with them, they're the most charismatic person in the room. That's how they get there, right? Like there's just something about them that's hard to, and I imagine that serial killers are the same way, that they are the cult leaders, or all those are just kind of that. There's just that gravitas that they have.
Is Jeffrey Dahmer? Is that?
Well, maybe not a serial killer, but definitely cult leaders. They have that. They must have some type of like gravitas that we're not picking up on. On a screen, and also out of their element. Because if you're seeing them on a screen, that's not their element. They've been caught. Right. They've been recorded. Something else.
Right.
So
and they appeal to a certain segment of the population that's really very needing and looking for something. And so one of the things that I mention a lot on our podcast is that, who are the people that follow these people? They're people that are missing something in their life. And they just happen to find, this particular person that's hitting their needs, and, then we're off to the races, and, they're followers. So.
Is that true what Sean just said? Are most cult leaders, they're all charismatic?
Very much so. Yeah, that's one of the key elements. Not only the research shows, but in my own clinical work, is that it's one of the key determinants of a cult. It's led by a charismatic leader. And then another key element is control.
Yeah,
they isolate you from your family, from the outside. You follow me and you obey the orders and nothing else. So you start not to know anything. You don't know what the outside is like.
Yeah.
One of our episodes, we had a cult that the police raided this particular cult, and the children that were brought up in the cult didn't even know what police were. Can you imagine that? It's almost like aliens coming with these weapons.
Wow.
Like, what are police? We don't even know what police are.
Wow. No, I mean, I could see that. I mean, if you're, on a not off grid, but at least they may have electricity, but probably no TVs, no radios.
No, they're forbidden from that.
Yeah, all that stuff's controlled. Yeah. I mean, I could see that. I mean, my wife grew up in Amish country. She's not Amish, but she grew up in Amish country. They're still pretty connected because they'll go into the towns and things like that. But I've been on a social media fast for the last almost month and a half now. And the difference between what I'm aware of now by being unplugged from that is just, it's amazing. It's night and day. Like, I don't know most of what's going on anymore. I'm not even, it's not on social media, it's just like, it is interesting.
By the way, excuse me for interrupting, but that, that's what I've helped a lot of people with everything that's going on in our country and the world right now. I just say, tune it out.
Yeah.
I call it live in your island. It's just,
yeah, it's really,
because that's what media is today. It's like, it's meant to create rage and controversy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what sells.
Fear.
Sells.
Yeah, gets the attention, gets the old.
And it goes back to your comment, Jonathan, about fascination with these programs and things, because it's sensationalized and it sells. Well,
let's talk about these documentaries specifically for a little bit. The documentaries. First of all, when you're looking at these documentaries, how do you pick them? Does your team pick them? Do you pick them? Like the other two co-hosts? Like, what makes I mean, we've done 400 some episodes.
My co-host, I will give them names, Stacy and Dory, who are super fans of these true crime podcasts. They find the material in the documentaries and they present it to me. So that's what makes it also fresh. It's almost like I'm on a case. It's the same thing I do with the FBI or the police. I'll just do a Dr. House, just sit there and, just okay. Give me the case and I'll tell you what's behind this and what's going on. It's really I enjoy it a lot.
But so when you start the podcast, you've not seen the documentary. You just kind of go.
I will peek into it. Yeah, I'll do a little bit of my homework on it, but I don't know what they're going to ask. I don't know what they're going to pick up on, and that's what's cool about it, because you're not only getting the expert view, but you're getting the super fans. What questions would an everyday person ask an expert on this? So it's good. I'm very proud of it. I'm very, very proud of what we're doing. So
no, they're well done. Actually, I've checked out a few of your episodes.
Thank you. Yeah.
So when you look at the documentary itself, and are some of these documentaries trying to prove or get people to lean one way or the other when they do it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
The documentarians all have, I guess we could say this word, a prejudice.
There's a bias there. I mean, it's
like
you can't come away from a I've never come away from a documentary without feeling that I totally am convinced, right? And they just have that effect on you.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
What do you think that is? What do you think that is, Dr. John, as far as like, there's a little bit of what's it called, the Forer effect, or like the effect that you have from horoscopes, just by naming that you're in a category that this is a certain type of film documentary, it creates an extra layer of believability.
In psychology, we call it a self-fulfilling prophecy. You have a particular hypothesis or theory about something. You're going to build the data and the facts around and build your case, which is human nature. It's the way the brain works. So you can't fault the documentarians for doing that. And again, that's I think the service, and I really mean this service that we're playing, is to go, okay, now let's look behind this. And see what's happening.
I think most consumers or people that watch these, I don't I think most people, when they see the label documentary, they think it's straight down the middle true.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's the danger of watching some of these documentaries is, it's going to lead you one way or the other, and you're just going to kind of go with the narrative, especially if you don't realize that documentaries aren't hard fact. They're just an opinion.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the questions I know you asked me, and I'm sure you guys want to get at, is that, well, what makes the documentary so compelling as opposed to a movie or a fictional portrayal?
Yeah.
I said this in one of our earlier episodes in my podcast, is that the difference is we can use a defense mechanism. We can say to a movie, okay, that's not real. Nobody's running around with a chainsaw in my neighborhood and slicing people in half. But with a documentary, it puts that element of closer to your own life experience. So it's like, ooh, this can really happen. So that's more frightening than, okay, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That's not gonna happen. Because I can defend against that.
Right.
Yeah.
There's enough real elements that are happening in a documentary that you're convinced that, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what separates it from a movie. It's like you have sequences of interviews with people who are real people out there.
Yeah.
And who testify on, to whatever degree, if this is true or not, and so
that's right.
That influences everybody, just like any witness, I guess, on a, in a court of, in a courtroom would influence a jury. I think that's the same thing that's happening, in a documentary. They bring out all of the proof and the witnesses, and you're left to make the judgment call at the end.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And again, probably the majority of people that go to horror movies, movies with crime and violence, can make that defense mechanism of, well, okay, it's a movie. But there's, a good percentage of people that lose sleep at night and are frightened because that could happen to them, and your mom and dad say, oh no, it's just not real, forget about it, but what the documentary goes a step further and says, oh, this really happened.
Right.
Whether it's influenced by the documentarian or not, this really happened.
Right.
Our last episode, as a matter of fact, Sean, we took the case. You might be familiar with that if you're in Austin, the yogurt shop murders, which was a famous case in Austin, Texas, and the documentary itself,
yogurt shop murders,
the yogurt shop.
Yeah, like a TCBY back in the day. You remember we had those?
Yep, wow. That's exactly what it was. It was 4 teenage girls got murdered in a yogurt shop, and
wow.
What was fascinating, and it was a very good documentary. So it's long. It's like 5.5 hours, maybe 6 hours of documentary.
Yeah,
is that they actually convicted 4 fellas, and they were innocent. And it turned out it was a serial killer that actually did the murder.
Yeah, they're doing a couple. I don't know if it's because that documentary came out, but some of the news stations are kind of doing all that because of all the stuff that's happened. But yeah,
it was a fascinating case. It was a fascinating case, but there again. Go ahead. I'm sorry, John.
I was going to say 3 guys were convicted. They were sentenced and they spent time.
Yeah, they spent time in jail. And I think one of them, as I recall, was on death row.
Oh wow!
And
how long? They now have a very large lawsuit going against Austin.
I wonder.
Sure.
Yeah. Jonathan, you'd be interested in this because you love the puzzle.
Yeah.
The police officer who eventually caught the real killer. It's fascinating how just by a quirk, just by a theory he had, how he started on the road to get this guy. and you'd love to see that. But again, it's the documentary is a little grueling to get through. It's long, and I think they had a lot of filler. There was a lot of repetition. Things like that. So,
it's funny because there's some famous movies. Point Break comes to mind. The detective who had the theory. Everybody in the police station thought he was crazy. They were just looking for the easy conviction.
Yeah.
And movies are based on, real life, the way people behave in real life. Good movies, anyway. You probably know that from your screenplays. You're looking for those true quirks that make it, feel right. But there was some other show I was watching, the same thing, where this one detective had the theory and everybody thought he was crazy. Then it turns out to be and same thing, like just little thin connections, and all of a sudden, bam, they all kind of hit together.
Yeah. That's what happened here. But I think a really interesting part about this particular case was that this one police officer that was noted for being able to get confessions out of people, they showed just the abusive techniques that this policeman used to interrogate these kids and get them to confess. They actually confessed to the murder, and they didn't do it.
They didn't do it. That's a thing, though. I was reading a lot of people do false confessions, under pressure. You're thinking, oh wow, how does that happen?
Well, you see that the documentary does a pretty good job of showing you what happened, because they have footage of these kids being interviewed, and they wear you down. I mean, they do it all night long. I mean, they just keep at you and at you. It's almost like waterboarding and all these other techniques that we read about, where they just wear you down. And this one guy even said,
psychologically,
I just want to get out of there.
Yeah, you just want to get out, and so you'll say just about anything because you're just drained.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen the movie. We watched it a couple of weeks ago. Man, my wife and I. Let's see, it's from 2021. It's the Mauritanian. It's about a guy who was detained in Guantanamo Bay and right after 9/11, and just the stuff that finally got revealed that they did to him, and the coercion tactics, and it was eye-opening, to say the least.
Intense.
To see some of the stuff, and he finally got released and he wrote the book, and then it became a movie. But it's I mean, he was in there for I don't know, 10 or 12 years total. But the techniques, because there's so much pressure on those people who are in the job of convicting and finding these criminals. I mean that's a whole nother psychology point of view, is the pressure those people are under to find an answer, because like you said, Jonathan, we're, as the public, we want an answer. We want to close the loop.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a ton of pressure on these public people, public servants, to close that loop for us.
Well, here's the other thing that I think is really cool to say to the audience here, is that one of the falsehoods that is often presented in movies and shows about killers and serial killers is that they're brilliant. They're so smart, and they're outwitting the police. Quite frankly, most of them are not that bright. And so when a policeman interviewing somebody can use grammar and use twist words so that you're basically agreeing, well, you were there that night, weren't you? or something like that. That's a bad example, but and then, well, yeah, I was in the area. What? No, you were in that shop. You went there. You were there. Well, but was that in the afternoon? No, you were. It's and then they wear you down. And that's, again, a falsehood. I think it's important for the audience to hear. Like I said, these are not intelligent people. But the key is, and this is what I've been noted for, as more than a lot of doctors that do this work, is that we have to understand their worldview. The way a killer, especially a serial killer, views the world is abnormal, and it's not like the way we are. So why they outsmart the police is because you have to get into their mind how they see the world.
Sure.
You know, if you're killing prostitutes, it's because you have a worldview that that's okay. These are vermin in society. You know, these are
you've got a calling
that are not worth living.
Less than human. Yeah, right.
You've got a calling.
But we normal people approach it like, well, all human life is valuable.
Right,
right. Know, it's
exactly. This is
that's not how they think.
Yeah.
And you got to
they're also liars. So I mean, it's like, you know, it's hard to keep up with, you know, once you start telling lies, you know, you have to keep up with what you've told. So I can imagine that it's, you know, it's easier to entrap, you know, yeah, some of these people are super intelligent, but you know, they have to keep up the facade and the lies and everything. And eventually some of that's going to crash, you know, because they're going to get caught. You know, you got to remember everything you've told.
Yeah, exactly. And why they're such good liars is because that also has made them successful at being killers. Right. You know, they're able to manipulate people and get themselves in the position in which they kill people. You know, they're very good at seducing people and conning people into getting close to them or whatever they want.
Yeah.
You mentioned Dahmer. That's, you know, he's a gay individual that got other gay men to his, you know, apartment. And then, you know, we're off to the races.
Yeah. Do you study like personality types, and are there any specific, whether it's DISC or, you know, I know a lot of people, you know, they follow Enneagrams, DISC, you know, all of those are there certain personality profiles that are more prone to, you know, fall into these, you know, criminal behaviors?
Yes, there are, but all of these things just lead us to questions.
Yeah.
They're not absolutes, you know, so that's another important thing. The guru in my field is Dr. John Douglas, who was the FBI profiler who really started the FBI psychological division. And he, you know, espoused the fact that, you know, every profile is really different. And so these techniques of, you know, enneagrams and other personality tests, a lot of people in the business take the Myers-Briggs test, etc. And, you know, what are you, an IJTGS or whatever?
Yeah.
That should just, you know, point in a direction. I particularly, another reason I'm a maverick in the field, I hate labeling. I hate labeling. You know, we're doing that so much with kids. Oh, you got ADHD. You got ADHD. You know, I was a poor speller. And I've written 20, now 30 books, you know, 13 screenplays, etc. Well, you use the damn dictionary. It's like, you know, it's like, you know.
I think any creative person has ADHD today, right?
Well,
I mean,
yeah. I mean, it's really the diagnosis du jour, I call it. You know, it's like everybody's ADHD. You know, it's like, well, you gotta, whether you're ADHD or not, you gotta compensate for it. You know, kid. You got to work. You got to get through school. You know, and not a little pill isn't going to, you know, help you pass a test. You know, etc. So I'm against.
We also know that there's just as many benefits to that type of brain, that type of personality, right? If it's in the right environment.
I had to compensate
in the wrong environment. Yeah.
Yeah. It taught me that I have to work hard.
Yeah.
You know, if I want to do something, you know, etc. So. You're right. There's a lot of positives to it, but I don't like labels. I don't like labels. Getting back to Jonathan, I don't use those tests when I evaluate criminals and killers, etc. You know, I look into that individual person.
You know, and what kind of stuff do you look for? Are you going back to the past, mommy, daddy issues? Like what are some of the like initial key points you're kind of looking at to figure out what makes this person tick? Because it sounds like that's what you're trying to do, is like, what's
exactly
the worldview? Why might they want to do this?
And I hate to be stereotypic, because I think you're getting to know that I don't like to be stereotypic. But yeah, you got to go back into their background. Most there's usually always some kind of abuse, and often sexual abuse. A male has been male raped, and all kinds of things like that. And being in this field for so long, the amount of sexual abuse that has gone around in people's lives is incredible. And so I always look at the early childhood background, neglect, kids that are, the stories I have built up over the years are just terrific, of kids just being used like objects, kids being sold for drugs, I had a case this week where a woman was, as a child, like 4 or 5 years old, the mother was a crackhead, and would sell her sexually to drug dealers to get drugs. Wow. And so, that you always look for that kind of a background. And then, like I said, typically people that don't have the psychological constitution to fight above that.
Yeah.
Like my story. I was blessed with, I guess, a good mind, and I could fight against some of the things that were happening. And so these people don't, and intelligence level, look at intelligence level. Not that bright.
Is a lot of your writing, like your novels, the screenplays you do, are they based off of like your own research and experience?
Yeah, that's one of the things that people pick up on when they evaluate my work, is that you know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially with dialogue. Really good dialogue of people that this is how they talk.
Yeah. Yes.
It does, by the way, both of you, and I want to fit this in really just for you, not even for the audience, but I sit back at some of these movies, and as this, the psychologist and what I do, and go, who was their consultant on this? It's like, there's some classic ones. Silver Linings Playbook. I watched that movie, and I sat back and go, this is not bipolar disorder. It's like,
yeah, I mean, Jonathan and I have both been in the military, and some of the military films are like, man, that's not quite right.
Yeah.
And, those kind of things. So yeah, if you're an expert, you definitely see that. I think though Hollywood does a better and better job. Like they bring those people in now even more than they used to.
Yeah,
to really get that authenticity and things like that.
Right.
Well, here's a loaded question for you, Dr. John.
Yeah.
Have you done any analysis or background on Jeffrey Epstein?
A little bit. I almost hate to admit, I usually don't get attracted to those kinds of issues in our world and our society, but I was kind of fascinated by.
Yeah, it's a big one, and it covers such a wide swath. It seems like.
So yes, I have. I've thought about a lot, and the other thing about me, both of you, is that because of who I am and what I've done, I've run a little bit in circles of at the highest level like that. I consulted early in my career. I consulted to Washington a lot and met senators and presidents and etc. And it fascinates me, this whole Epstein thing. And so again, what do you want to know? What do you want to know?
I'm just curious if you've got, like,
is he dead?
Who killed him? Who killed him?
Well, who, and if he is, who? There's some people.
Yeah, I guess my question is,
I have some questions whether he committed suicide.
I do too, and I have some questions on whether he's still dead because of.
I think my bigger question is kind of what we were talking about earlier, like the childhood that would take someone like that to where all these things that he's being accused of, and and the way he just kind of sells that life to other people. Like, I mean, that's really bought into the whole. It's one thing to do it yourself, but then to bring in that many people and that much power and to need that around you.
He was
like,
he was a great.
There's a lot of different things going. Yeah, there's a lot of different aspects. It's not just like a deviant behavior. It's also like this need to be around power and also to control the power because you got information on them.
Leverage.
Yeah.
As we said earlier, he was charismatic. You know, I don't find him to be charismatic, but a lot of people found him to be charismatic.
Yeah.
And here's the key element, guys, is that he got away with it. You start a little bit. You know, you con the first person.
Yeah.
And then you get away with it. You're gonna go, all right, you're gonna look around. That worked.
There's a little
very
thrill
true
to
in
it.
his story. You know,
there's a little thrill to that, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. But there's it's very much psychological conditioning, right? It works. So I can do this. And the same thing happens with serial killers. You know, I can kill my neighbor's dog, you know, and it's exciting. And now I go to the next thing. Yeah. Every single case has a progression. It progresses. And Epstein progressed. You know, he got away with it. He got money from this one. He scammed this one. He used, you
start feeling invulnerable, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's, to me, when you say, have I analyzed Epstein? That was a key, you know, that he just kept getting away with it. You know, here we have a guy who's teaching at an exclusive private school in New York City, and he doesn't even have a degree in what he's teaching. You know, he's teaching mathematics or something like that. He wasn't even a degree. How does that happen at an elite private high school in New York City? He conned somebody and got away with it.
Yeah.
And then if you know the story, that a student who was, you know, again, he's charismatic. He's probably that teacher, you know, everybody thought he was the coolest guy, coolest teacher in the school. And the student whose father was a huge financier, the student introduced Epstein to his father. And then I know I've used this term a lot, which I don't in normal life. I don't know why I'm using it today. Then we're off to the races, you know. And it's like he got money from this kid's father and started his whole thing. Boom.
Yeah, I think that's what happens. You know, we talk about social proof and influence, and you know, you con someone, and what do they do? It's like they're like a referral, you know. They tell somebody else, you know, and it goes down the line.
Because they got to justify their own actions of why they
absolutely, you know. That's I think about Bernie Madoff too. I mean, you look at all the people he conned out of so much money, and you know, he had people convinced that, I mean, he was one of the greatest investors ever, and so they would tell all of their friends, right? I mean, they were the greatest salespeople for him.
Yep.
You know, and
then with Epstein, excuse me, Jonathan, but with Epstein, you added on this whole sexual component, and you know, these men were getting a lot of treats there from Mr. Epstein, you know, and that they couldn't get anywhere else. I mean, it's incredible,
right?
You know, and so Epstein, you know, just kept going and going and going because he got rewarded for what he did,
right? And he had the goods on them. So he was building leverage.
Yeah. And I haven't done any research but I do wonder, like, his past. I keep thinking, like, Hugh Hefner, there's a story of him, like, when he was young and he had the little blanket with the bunnies on it. And that was the only thing that kept him comfort. And, you know, because he was neglected and some other things, like, you know, that led to the whole Playboy Mansion and the Playboy Bunny and all that stuff. And I wonder what in Epstein's past, because I haven't heard that angle. Like, what happened in his childhood that
I haven't been. Sean, I was curious in the same way. I haven't found anything on his.
Must have scrubbed upbringing. He must have scrubbed it from the internet, you know.
Yeah,
with the connections he's got, he could have got that file erased, or, you know, who knows what.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's...
Do you find that sometimes it happens over time? You know, like, people come from a good background, like Who knows? Maybe he came from a good background. I don't know his past, but along the way, he got corrupted or he, had a lust for power that just drove him, or influence that just drove him to do whatever it took. I mean, I don't know. It's like people change over time. They start out good upbringing and
right.
Some of these psychopaths, I think they were, some of them I read, they're born, they had like, probably overly puritanical, like parents or something, maybe they were super strict and they went off the edge, but who knows? Right.
God, I got so much to say about that, Jonathan. So I'm flooded by three different answers, but let me see if I can parcel it out. First answer is, it's one of the things that I've been noted for in the field, and really very early on in my career, especially dealing with young people. You can have a kid that has great parents, has a comfortable lifestyle. You look at it and you go, you have everything made, kid. Parents, smart, doing things right, and the kid turns out to be a delinquent or a criminal.
Yeah.
Vice versa, you can have a kid, that was disadvantaged, poor, scrapper, and turns out to be, phenomenal, just a great kid. And we used to think, before I did some of my early research studies, we used to think that there'd be a lockstep formula, that can't be. But so I was noted for pointing out that it's not about that. It's about something which I'm really always fascinated in. It's perception. We're all looking at the world through our lens, And so parents would come to me and go, well, we raised Johnny exactly how we raised Jimmy, went to the same schools, we had the same, we never moved, etc. Jimmy and Johnny saw the world differently and also had different experiences. Something, that teacher that Jimmy thought was so wonderful, Johnny might have been abused or just I shouldn't say abused, but just felt was horrible. It all comes down to our perception and how we perceive the world. So that's the one thing to say. The other thing to say about that, Jonathan, is that we comes back to, we just can't. We're not at the stage. I don't think we ever will be with the human mind where we can't just read DNA and go, this person is going to become this. I don't think it will ever get that kind of sophistication. So there's so many variables that are involved. That keeps me in business.
Yeah. I'm sure it's fascinating. Just
I love
it. People are very unique and complicated, right?
I mean, you could get into all kinds of different theories. I mean, when you're talking about that, like, why would Jimmy and Johnny be different? I'm like, what about past lives? Like, if you believe in past lives, like, that they bring into this life, or two different personality types are going to see the world. Whether we truly believe.
And I'm not dogmatic about that, Sean. In other words, I say, oh, well, that's interesting. It could very well be possible. DNA. We have kids that are adopted by families, wonderful families, empathic, socially conscious, and they turn out bad. And because we look into their background, and their father was, locked up in jail for 40 years. And how do you explain that? Is there something in the DNA that tweaks this kid to be bad?
Well, I could see, like, with dominant and recessive genes, and then epigenetics. If Jimmy gets more from his father than Johnny did from his mother, those certain genes get turned on or off. Maybe it's the anger gene, maybe it's whatever. I don't know all the genes and how they work exactly, but like, I could see those type of little switches. That's enough, to cause the variance, because it's such a cascading effect. If you got 2 or 3 or 4, 30 genes that are the switches are the opposite direction. It may not look any different on the outside, but it's going to interpret the environment, the same environment, completely differently.
Yeah.
And here's the key. All of that, this is an important point. all of that, what I call, sets the table. It sets the table for you to go in a certain direction, to use drugs, to be a criminal, to be a liar, to be a con artist, etc. But whether that table, you're going to have a meal
sit
on
down
it.
at the table. Yeah, exactly.
Whether you sit down, that's better. Sit down at the table depends on so many things. And again, perception, how you perceive the world, and how the world reinforces that.
Mm-hmm.
I think I told you, I went to an all-boys Catholic high school. Super strict rules. We were operated in a box. So if you were a bad dude, you weren't getting away with anything.
Right.
And so, a lot of those kids that went to that school, the table was set to be a certain way, but it was like, it's like the military, guys, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You get, I once, not once, many times, I have a lecture that I give in public. I call the military and the priesthood, the perfect answer to adolescence. Because both institutions, they take young people and they just tell you who you are. What are you supposed to do?
Right.
What are you supposed to believe in? All these questions that teenagers and adolescents struggle with, and these two institutions go, this is what you do. You don't question. You don't think about it. This is what you do.
That's right.
And so
they break you down first, right? They strip you of your identity first, and then
right. And then I remember in basic training, Jonathan, you remember this, like you go to basic training, there's about 2 or 3 days before you actually show up with the drill sergeants where you're kind of processing all this stuff. Everybody's got hair when you go in. And all of a sudden you go into processing day.
Yeah.
And your civilian clothes are gone, your hair is gone, and you can't even recognize the people that you were just hanging out with for 3 days.
No.
Like immediately the identity is stripped. Everybody's in a uniform, no hair.
Yeah.
It's amazing like how quick that identity gets just yanked out from under you.
And how effective it is.
Oh,
it works.
Yeah. Yeah,
it works.
Absolutely. It works. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have knuckleheads that probably have IQs of 60 that are turning a bolt on a $2 billion airplane and doing that. And why? Because the orders say you turn it 6 times, not 5, not 7. You turn it 6 times, and that's it.
Yeah, I worked with the CEO one time, and he said the same thing about McDonald's. How is it McDonald's can run with low income, uneducated, or high school students or whatever, and every burger's the same everywhere you go, because they have such set processes,
systems,
and everything else that this is how you do it. There's no questions. Like you don't. No creativity is needed.
There's no deviation from the system. You don't step outside the system.
Yeah. Can I take 15 seconds to tell you my favorite McDonald's story?
Oh yeah. Please.
So I don't go to fast food places and etc. But in my office downtown, it was late one night, and there was a McDonald's about a half a block away, and a patient didn't show up, and I wanted something to eat. I hadn't ate all day, so I go into this McDonald's, and I hadn't been in McDonald's, and I can't remember when. And so I get there. First of all, I'm absolutely overwhelmed by the stimulus. They have this huge board, and it's flashing and revolving and all that kind of stuff. And this counter person is there and goes, "May I help you? May I help you?" And I'm going, "Well, wait. I wanted a salad, and I knew no other place was going to be open.
Right.
And so I want a salad, but I want this salad. I want this Southwest salad, but I don't want this in it. And do you have a light dressing? May I help you? May I help you? Do you want number 1, number 2? I said, I don't want. I want this salad. It's like nobody else was in the whole restaurant. Why couldn't they make the salad the way I want? Finally, I relented. I'll have a number 3.
Number 3.
It's like
make it simple.
But there's no thinking. There's no thinking involved. It's just
they're looking at their order pad, and that's not an option on their order pad the way you're trying to explain it.
That's right.
Yeah.
No, they've done a good job of training us when you do go to places like that. It's like call it by the name, value, meal number 1, whatever.
But it's such a symbolic aspect of our society, right?
Yeah.
It's all about speed, efficiency. I want it now. There's no individuality. There's no creativity, et cetera, and so we're forced into that mold.
Yeah, and there's a part of us that wants people to make those decisions for us.
Yeah. A lot of people do.
Because there's just so many decisions to be made. There's decision fatigue. There's, all that kind of stuff going on that when you can get a shortcut, you want it. I mean,
what's path of least resistance. That's what we're,
Daniel, what's his name?
And that's a perfect example of what we took off on, which is, the military. It's just like, this is the way you do it. This is you. And there's no question.
Question is not a good thing in the military for sure. I learned that the hard way. I was a little too.
I'm sure you've read the real good book on that is Thinking Slow and Fast. Man, that is an amazing. Yeah, Daniel
with the super long last name that nobody can pronounce.
Yeah. I believe he's the University of Chicago. Now I'm stuck on. I want to pronounce his name for you guys.
It's like with a K. It starts with a K, but I don't want to butcher his last name.
Chickamachali or something like that.
Yeah, see, nobody can say it.
Yeah,
it's like there's a rhythm that once you get it, you can figure it out. But it's.
But he talks about the lizard, like the lizard brain, or the
that one is Kahneman, Daniel Kahneman.
Daniel Kahneman, yes.
I think maybe Csikszentmihalyi. I know that name too. I can't remember what he helped co-write, but he might have been a
Low, and I think he did. Yeah.
Daniel Kahneman is thinking fast, thinking fast and slow.
You're right. You're right.
We've talked about that book on the show.
Yeah. Well, Dr. John, as we wrap up here, like, what's kind of been the most interesting thing you've learned as you started kind of going into these documentaries? You've done 27 episodes, you said now.
29 now, yeah.
Okay. So what are there any patterns you're noticing or insights that you're getting that just either surprise you or, just whatever, like what stood out for you, I guess?
Surprise being the biggest, like what like, because you've got a long career. So there's got to be something in there that's like, ooh, that's shocking.
Gee, I hate to shock you both, but no, I mean, because I've been doing this so long, none of this really shocks me. I think it's more what interests me or fascinates me is the making of the documentary. Oftentimes when I come in, when Stacy and Dory have me come in to the podcast, the first thing I'll talk about is the making of the podcast. So that's what surprised me. It's almost like Sean was saying earlier about the influence of the documentarian and how they're pushing the narrative in a certain direction. That or maybe I now that I thought about it, it's a great question, by the way. Now that I think about it, it's also the lack of going into these people's background and what made them. It's like nobody's doing it. I was really surprised.
That's interesting. Yeah.
And maybe because of what I do, but I see you guys are also interested in this. I want to know why did this happen or how did this happen?
Yeah.
And nobody's doing that. Nobody's doing it.
That is interesting because I would think that would be such a crucial part of the story. If you're going to tell a whole story of a killer or a crime, I don't want to assume they're all killers, and that's what a lot of them are. But to me, that's a crucial part of the story. It's like Act 1. It's
Sean. Here's a good example. We talked about the Austin murders, the yogurt shop murders, which is the title of the documentary, and it encapsulates everything we talked about here today. The documentarians focused on these 4 kids that were there. 3 of them went to prison. I think 1 or 2 was on death row. And their story and background thing, when it got to the actual killer, they didn't really say much about the killer at all. Why, how did this develop? Where did this all come from? Et cetera, et cetera. It was in the very last episode. And it was like the real killer got about 15 minutes of the documentary after, 6 hours of going down a path.
Yeah.
And I wanted to know, tell me about this killer. Tell me about the real killer. So that shocked me. This is the thing that's shocking me about these documentaries so far, is that they're not getting behind the scenes of what's going on here.
Yeah.
But in terms of the crimes, the people, gentlemen, I've been doing this so long, it's hard to
I can't imagine the stories you have. It's
pretty incredible.
How do you personally, like, not embody or, like, embody is probably not the right word. Like, how do you not let that get to you? The weight of the stuff that you hear.
Yeah. I've, and my family will tell you this. I've always had a great ability to just tune it out. I don't know. I'm just made that way.
Yeah.
I call it compartmentalization.
Yeah. A lot of people are good at that. Some people just aren't, right? I mean, they just, everything kind of flows together, and
that's a shame. That's wrong. That's wrong. Yeah. I mean, I take this tie off and my suit coat off, and I'm just a dad. I got the stupid dad jokes like everybody else, and
I'm the same way. I can compartmentalize. I can separate things, but my wife and I have this discussion where she's like, everything influences the other thing. No, that's not it. that doesn't happen for me. Maybe for you, but in her world, everything runs together, which to me would be.
Sorry, honey. No, it doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, to me that would be very stressful. I mean, obviously.
Well, it's not human nature. We play roles in our lives. You guys are like this on the podcast. You're probably different getting your oil changed at Jiffy Lube. You might be an asshole in line at the grocery store.
Sean.
We all play. We all play different roles in life, and that's normal. Nobody is so consistent that they're the same in every situation that life presents itself.
No.
So compartmentalization is natural.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I was just saying, I'm always trying to get 15 items through the 10 item checkout at the grocery store.
Exactly. You're the guy. You're the guy.
Yeah.
And I'm the dad, like those guys from the commercial that goes, hey, sir.
Calling the manager over.
Wait a minute.
Items.
Yeah.
So
I want to mention last thing, and then we're going to close out. But there's a great show on Apple TV that I got hooked on this week. But it's on. And you might appreciate this, Dr. John. No. Hey, Cape Fear is one. It's on my list to watch, but there's one called The Offer. But it's about the if you've ever watched The Godfather back in the day, it's a whole they do a whole season on. It's not a documentary. It's meant as a show, but it's basically the making of the movie The Godfather, and how much you don't realize how much they had to go through to get that movie made, back in the 70s, because not only did they have budget constraints, but they had the mafia that was like threatening them, if they made this movie, there was going to be trouble. So it's really fascinating, from that perspective of like, you don't realize, some of the backstories. Cause I think I love The Godfather, the movie, but this series like takes you back, like through some of the real life, incidents of like, just like Joe Colombo threatening to like blow him away, if they tried to make this movie. So
I'm going to watch it. I love stuff like that. And by the way, we talked at the beginning of my screenplays coming up. The one I talked about is fascinating. It's was a challenge for me because it's based on a true story. Usually my screenplays, it's something that's based on my work, but I can make up characters and stuff. Mm-hmm. This is a real person, and it was the only Asian person that was ever what would you call it? Not invested? What's the word I'm thinking of? He was entitled to be in the mob. And they it's a fascinating story about this guy.
Wow.
And his nickname in the mob was Tokyo Joe, and that's the title of the screenplay and hopefully the movie. Jonathan, I'm fascinated by the making of stuff like that. So I'm gonna look it up. I thought you were going to talk about Cape Fear, which, by the way, I started. And you want to see a good psychopath? It's
Is it as good as the original?
The original was great. This is different. It's a different kind of twist. And Javier Bardem is just fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, I love that guy. He's No Country for Old Men. That guy was like, man, he's a psychopath.
Very different in this one, and it's very good. Very good.
So you think he beats Robert De Niro as?
You know what? So far, I only watched 2 episodes, but he's creepy, scary.
Okay. All right.
De Niro was crazy, kind of just, crazy.
I can believe that from watching No Country for Old Men. That guy was, he creeped me out, and I've seen that movie so many times, but he plays.
Can I say one last thing? Because you're bringing up a very important point about evil and criminals. That character, and I forget his name, the name of the character.
Shigur.
That's it, Shigur. It's a great example of pure evil.
Yes.
Because pure evil is just, there's no why behind it. There's just, he's just bad.
It's like the movie from The Dark Knight. Some people just want to watch the world burn.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah. And that's what you said earlier about like just how hard it is to get into the mind of that kind of person.
Oof. Yeah.
You're looking for motive, and there is no motive. It's just it's pure just evil.
Yep.
And that's hard to pin down and hard to wrap your head around. It's like C.S. Lewis
and I've sat with that in my life. Probably the most people ask me. It's almost like when you ask me about how do you deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
This one case, I had to evaluate a guy on death row. So this is in a maximum security prison. The guy was chained to his chest. He was chained on the table. He was chained on his ankles. And they insisted a guard was in the corner with a shotgun while I interviewed this guy, evaluated him.
Wow.
And of all the people to this day, he's the only one that I felt absolutely frightened by. I was sitting across the table from him, and just this evil poured out of him, and it was like, holy shit.
He was lost. I mean,
this is the essence of it right here.
Yeah, right. Like Hannibal Lecter or something like that. I mean, there's no rhyme or reason
coming off of them.
Yeah.
That's when you learn that those energy fields are like real. That you can literally feel off of people.
It very much is. Very much is. And we can go on and on about that.
Wow.
Yeah. No, this is good stuff. I really appreciate you.
John,
sharing.
Thank you.
How can people learn more about your books or your, whatever else?
Podcast.
Podcast.
Well, like everybody else in the world, I have a website, and it's very simple. It's DR, like doctor, and then my name, drjohnmayer.com. And John Mayer is spelled just like the singer, which gets me, that and $8 gets me a Starbucks. That's good.
Yeah. I was going to make that joke on the intro, but I decided not to.
I lost you. Oh,
there we go.
Yeah. You look, so I posted it in the comments too, as well.
Can't hear you guys.
Uh-oh.
Oh, that's weird. Test.
Did your audio go out? Or
I don't know. It happened when you put it on the screen share. I don't know if that had anything to do with it.
Yeah, I'll pull it off. But I do want to mention it's the podcast that they do is what is it? I'm gonna read that. PodCandyPodcast.com. PodCandyPodcast.com.
Okay. Is
where you can check out their true crime podcast and then drjohnmayer.com. We'll have those links on the website. So cool. I'll pull those down. Maybe his audio will come back. Let's see. There we go. How about that?
You guys back?
Yeah, there we go.
Can't hear you.
We can hear you.
Yeah. Not sure
maybe your Bluetooth went out. Maybe his AirPods died.
Yeah. We'll close it out. John, if you can hang tight, yeah, we'll put you in the green room real quick and we'll close out. Sean, it's a good show, man.
All right.
Give us 1 second. There we go. Interesting, man. Super interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. My bet is his AirPods died.
Probably so. Yes, that happens from time to time, but you can check us out. I forgot what episode is this?
This is 430. Let me get back to the 436.
All right. Yes, you're right. 436. So, yeah, check us out. Next week, just want to let kind of little preview. We've got the release of what is it? Disclosure Day is coming out today. So we actually have a guest coming on scheduled for next week. Sean, I'll send you the link over. But
cool.
Talking
I'm
about
going to see it Tuesday, so I'll have
it'll be fresh on the mind.
Yes.
Yeah, he'll be talking about that. All about the Disclosure Day, PSYOPs, what's true, what's not. We're going to hear it all. So
cool. All right.
We'll see you next time.
All right. See ya.